All right.
Okay, we got another stream going. Okay, our bad guys, technical difficulties, and I also went a little bit dumb by messing it up. I thought our friend here, was getting my thing banned. Channel.
All right.
Okay, we got another stream going. Okay, our bad guys, technical difficulties. Let me put this in the podcast area if I can do a podcast. If I can put it in the podcast, I'm still not allowed to type in it. That's great. Um, all right, put that in the podcast area. Maybe people will watch. Hopefully they do. We'd appreciate it. Um,
All
so we're gonna answer some of these more of these questions. I believe the Broncos wanted us to talk about them. So, or had questions what we thought about them, which, you know, we can go through some of the teams and, look at what we think about them personally. Broncos, I believe we talked about for a little bit, but let's let's look at this team. Hurdy's been trying to trade Devontae Williams. I mean, when you signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire to that contract where you have no penalty of getting rid of him and you don't want him, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, this team's like, I don't think they're gonna make a deep playoff run, and I don't think the Broncos expect him to make a deep playoff run. But I think it's a good team to go towards the future.
Yeah, I think it's a great start. Moving Javonte Williams from our capital. He's a starting back somewhere. So I know he's moving Cortland Sutton. Just a full rebuild. This entire team. So I think he's done great with the trades already. Um, but the captains of the defense, Patrick Surtain and Montez Sweat, is definitely a great starting stone for the future. So I think the Broncos is doing a pretty good job.
I agree. You got to take a step back to move two steps forward. I mean,
Exactly.
and that's what he's doing. And unfortunately, it will take some time, but I think he's ready for that rebuild, and he's got the picks to make it work. You got to do it. You just got to do it. If you know you're not gonna win, you gotta retool or rebuild. Not give up on the season. Not give up at all. But play your games. Enjoy the league. But also take your whoopings. Trust me, I was what was I 2-6 at one point. I went to 8-9. I went to 8-9. Got me a better pick. I mean, a worse pick, unfortunately. But I built up my players that I needed to. That's what we need to see in this league, and we appreciate all the people that do lose and come in and still enjoy talking some shit in the league and making things happen.
Yeah.
Um, let's look at some other. Do you have any teams from your division that you're interested in?
Um.
Division,
Looking.
conference, trades that you saw that I didn't bring up?
Um. Uh,
Oh yeah, I wanted to look at the Colts once we, have time to
let's
do
look at
that.
the Colts. Let's look at the Colts.
We've had a lot of discussion about them. A lot of teams have had a lot of discussions about them because it's an interesting situation they're putting themselves in. Um, what do you gotta say? You're playing him. You played him and beat him in the playoffs, so you knew what he needed to do to make his team better. Did he do those things? Like,
Um. Honestly, the Colts is my dude, Pyro. Um. But I think he just went, as I stated before, a little overboard. He had William Jackson and Teron Johnson already. Um. Bringing in Jair. Yes, he's a lockdown corner. but he didn't have a problem really stopping. That I don't think that was his issue. He brought him in. He has a fat contract. Now he has to pay that. Um, he brought in Keenan Allen. He already had DJ Chark. He already had Darius Slayton. So when you look at Keenan Allen, what is he bringing outside of route running? He's 32. He gave up a second, I think, and a third for him. Um, and he's just gonna get worse. I think what he could have or should have did is use one of those picks to take a receiver. But now he's double doomed. No second or third with the Asian receiver. That's speed is not the biggest of all things, but he's not the fastest. Um, so yeah, I think, and if we look at his picks,
or
he
lack
only has 10,
thereof.
he only has 10 picks between this year and next year. So
He's selling for this season. He is.
it's it's interesting, even the Teron Armstead trade, because if we look at his average age on his team, it's quite old. He has a lot of Asian players. I just don't think he moved about the right way this season. I don't think he did. I think he's playing for, as we got one more season as a whole, instead of we really have about four more seasons of GFL realistically, and it's gonna come back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah,
Oh,
with.
bite him in the butt.
I don't think Cole cares. We will hear back from Cole and ask if he, cares about the swearing, or whatever. Um, but I'm going to bring this up. I don't know how long Pyro is going to be out with being busy. Um, you know, next podcast, me and you do, since I have now figured out how to make this work on my computer, we are going to add somebody to. We're going to at least interview one person. We're going to hopefully interview each team around the league at least once, ask them their goals, maybe a 10, 20-minute interview real quick, and just ask about their teams. I think the next one will be Broncos because Broncos is really wanting to discuss his team further. Maybe get some midseason reactions from some people. I think that'd be a lot of fun to hear some teams around the league that maybe aren't doing good or maybe are under the radar get a word out.
Agreed. Agreed.
I mean, we want everyone. This isn't just for me and Chargers to just speak here for 3 hours, 2 hours, and talk. We want you guys to be involved. That's why I'm trying to ask you guys questions. We've gotten some good questions so far. Um, we've gotten good communication, and we're happy to hear that everyone is excited about this draft. I haven't heard any negative complaints. Nobody whining in the chat. Nothing bad going on. Um, Draft does start at 8, I believe. 8 o'clock p.m.
Yes,
EST. So that is 7 o'clock, what? CST?
I believe so.
6 o'clock Mountain Time and 5 o'clock PST. So don't forget to bring, everything you need to the draft. Watch the game that's going on tonight for Sunday Night Football while doing it because we will be here for about 4 hours. Cole wants to go through all the rounds, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to sit through all these rounds if you want to. Um, I may or may not have a podcast going with the Chargers. It depends on how we feel, how people would feel about watching us talk about the draft picks, and yeah. Anything you got to say before we end this? Or do you want to talk about another team you got in mind?
No, this was it, man. Shout out Broncos. I know he was active up in here, man.
Uh,
Um,
can't forget about Ravens. Ravens. Actually, I do want to look at the Ravens real quick, and because he was selling. That's what I forgot. I was going to tell you about Ravens. Ravens selling. If I would have known
uh,
earlier, would have traded the fourth pick for Lamar Jackson. and some more.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
it's a lot to talk about this Ravens team because
he
previous season, he had Derrick Henry, he had Stephon Gilmore, he had the best roster in GFL by far,
I
and that put it.
I would have to argue with the Vikings, but he was a close. I think he's a second. I think those two were top. You know, going at it for the top roster, but I think Vikings personally had the best roster in the league.
Yeah, so Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and Mark Andrews on top of the trade for Laramie Tunsil and Ronnie Stanley, on the edges. I just think he jumped the gun too quick on some of his trades last season. Because when it doesn't work out, you're in a position where you can't move him for any pieces. You can't re-sign him. He was too much money, and ultimately, you just lose your draft capital at the end of the day. And if we look, he has 2 seconds, yes, but he's missing a third. So he's gonna have to hit on those 2 seconds and fourth and 2/5. So he's not in a bad position, but he can definitely make some work.
I agree. You know, um, I feel like a team this offseason that should have seen this his construction and kind of try to avoid it. Colts. Colts saw how this happened to him, and I believe this is real concerning for the Ravens. Ravens are not in the very best spot right now. A lot of cap going out towards people. Couldn't really make any moves this offseason. Yes, he's got incredible players, but he only got worse, and he didn't make the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I mean, if we look at this next year, look how many people are getting paid more than 15 mil, and this is for 1 year next year.
Like 7 plus, 6 plus players. Like that's a lot of money going out, and those contracts aren't ending next season. Those are 2 year contracts, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year.
Yeah,
That's a
Lamar Jackson, $40 million.
Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned about them. I think they're a good team still, but are they the team that they want to be? Is the question. And I don't
Yeah,
think that can happen with the amount of money that they're shelling out.
yeah. I feel like he's not the original Ravens owner, but I feel like if he was, he would have got off these contracts maybe last season. So this season, he'll have somebody to work with, but he just came in this past season, so it wasn't much for him to work with. So he's pretty much not exactly stuck. But if he wants to get out of this, he's going to have to eat some of these contracts for this upcoming season.
I agree. So, we're gonna stop here right now unless you have anything to say. We're gonna stop. We're gonna do the off-season grades real quick before the draft starts. Hopefully, we may have to wait till after just to see. Or do you want to wait till after the draft and see how the draft ends up to do free
Um,
agency ratings?
we could do our free agency grading after this. We could put it on the newsletter tab.
I agree. We can also, make after draft one just really quickly, copy and paste it, update the, grades. Write a
Yep,
little bit, write a little bit of a description, add a little bit to their draft class. Um, so me and the Chargers are working hard over here to provide news outlets to you guys that may not have the time to look at everyone's teams like we do.
yep,
We have the availability, but we know that people in GFL do care about other teams and how the league's going. From what I've seen, I mean, I've only been here for a year, and I agree. I think most teams care about other teams not just being good or bad, but just
right.
care about the league's health. and
Right.
that's important in a good league, I believe. So
Yeah, and we just try to bring a funner CFM experience
yeah,
for
we
everybody.
want everyone to have fun, and lose but have fun. Losing isn't fun, of course. Nobody has fun losing, but being knowing they can build up for next season is fun. So having people knowing that people are looking at your team and saying, okay, they can do something, or oh, they're looking in a good position to move forward,
Yeah, it just brings another, type of juice to the league.
or
Makes it fun.
just come to prove us wrong. Shit, prove us wrong. Ravens may
Yeah,
win the Super Bowl and prove us wrong. That
yeah. And
well,
then he could go back to our free agency gradings and,
yep.
you know, so yeah, so let's get on with this free agency grading. Appreciate everybody
All
tuning
right.
in.
Everyone have a good rest of your day. Be ready for the draft. We may have another podcast going live for the draft. If you guys want to join in, we'd be happy to maybe have an interview or two. Maybe. It matters if we do it. Um, and then also, enjoy the rest of the day. 8 p.m. EST, 7, all the CST, 6 Mountain Time, and 5 PST. Everyone have a good day. And this is Noah and Black Mac signing out.